Welcome back to Reliable Prepper, where we dive deep into everything you need to know to stay safe in times of crisis. Today we're talking about three of the most dangerous types of people you'll encounter when things go south. And trust me, these people can put everything you've worked for at risk. If you want to get ahead of the curve and be prepared to handle any threat that comes your way, stick around for some invaluable advice. Make sure to follow Reliable Prepper on Facebook for more content and like and subscribe here on YouTube so you don't miss a thing. Now let's get into it. When society collapses, whether it's from civil unrest, natural disaster, or any number of SHTF scenarios, the people around you can quickly become your greatest threat. Not everyone reacts the same way when the world falls apart. Some may rise to the occasion with compassion and a willingness to cooperate, but others will become dangerous, unpredictable, and even lethal. Today, we're going to talk about the three most dangerous types of people you'll encounter during a crisis. These individuals each pose a unique threat, and how you deal with them can be the difference between survival and disaster. But this isn't just about identifying these threats. We're also going to cover some crucial survival strategies, including how to profile these individuals based on their behavior, how to protect your resources without drawing unwanted attention, and how to detect early red flags that might save your life. Let's kick things off by talking about the first type of dangerous individual, people who feel they have nothing to lose. Now, this might sound obvious, but the reality of it is much darker than you might think. These people have been broken by the crisis. Maybe they've lost their family, their home, or their future. Whatever it is, they've reached a point where they no longer care about consequences. When someone has nothing left to lose, they can be incredibly dangerous because, in their minds, they don't have anything left to protect. Imagine a man who's lost everything, his job, his house, and his family, all within a short period of time. Now, he's on the streets, surviving day to day with no hope of things getting better. That kind of despair can drive people to do things they'd never consider under normal circumstances. They might lash out violently because, for them, there's no downside to taking risks. And when someone doesn't care about the risks, they're unpredictable, and unpredictability is the enemy of survival. You've got to be able to spot these individuals before they become a threat to you or your group. What are the signs? People who feel they have nothing to lose often display erratic behavior. You'll see them making reckless decisions, lashing out at others for no apparent reason, or even acting impulsively without thinking about the consequences. These behaviors should be huge red flags. Look out for individuals who seem overly aggressive in situations that don't call for it. They might react to minor slights or setbacks with disproportionate anger or even violence. Desperation can also manifest in unpredictable mood swings. Someone might seem calm one minute and then snap the next. When you see someone oscillating between these extremes, it's a good indication that they've hit their breaking point. Now, how do you deal with these people? First and foremost, distance yourself. You don't want to be around someone who's spiraling. If you do have to engage with them, don't confront them directly. You want to avoid triggering an outburst. Instead, use de-escalation techniques. Talk to them calmly and show empathy without making promises you can't keep. Sometimes just letting them feel heard is enough to prevent them from acting out. But the truth is, sometimes empathy isn't enough. Sometimes you'll have to make the hard call to cut them off and protect your group. You can't save everyone, and if someone's putting your group in danger, you have to prioritize your own survival. The second group of dangerous individuals you're likely to encounter in a crisis are those with experience in violence. These people aren't just angry or desperate, they're comfortable with violence. Maybe they've been in street fights their whole lives, they've served in the military, or they've been involved in criminal activities. Whatever the case, these individuals know how to handle themselves in a fight, and they won't hesitate to use violence to get what they want. One thing you have to understand about these individuals is that they thrive in chaos. When society breaks down, they're in their element. While most people panic when the rules disappear, these individuals see an opportunity to gain power and resources. They're the ones who will organize gangs, take control of valuable resources, and intimidate weaker individuals into submission. These individuals are dangerous not just because they're violent, but because they're strategic. They know how to manipulate situations to their advantage, and they won't be afraid to use intimidation or force to get what they want. So how do you recognize someone like this? First, Look for physical signs, scars, tattoos, a certain way of carrying themselves that suggests they're used to confrontation. They often project confidence, even in high-stress situations. You'll see it in the way they walk, the way they talk. Everything about them says, "I'm not afraid of violence." You'll also notice that these people remain calm under pressure. They've been in enough dangerous situations that fear doesn't cloud their judgment. Instead, they remain focused, which makes them even more dangerous. If you get into a confrontation with someone like this, they're likely to keep their cool and wait for the right moment to strike. So, how do you deal with experienced, violent individuals? First of all, never try to bluff them. If you try to act tough without being able to back it up, they'll see right through you and call your bluff. Instead, your best bet is to avoid direct confrontation. If you're forced into a situation where you have to deal with them, try to offer something of value that doesn't compromise your position. This could be information, a trade, or even an alliance of sorts. But remember, these people respect strength, and they'll see weakness as an opportunity to exploit you. Establish clear boundaries early on. Make it known that you won't be an easy target, but do so without issuing direct threats. It's a delicate balance of standing your ground without provoking them into action. And here's something to keep in mind. If you're dealing with a group led by someone with experience in violence, you need to be extra cautious. These leaders are often charismatic, and they can rally others to their cause, making them even more dangerous. They might use fear to control their group, but they also know how to manipulate and inspire loyalty. If you're dealing with someone like this, be prepared for the long game. They're not going to back down easily. Now let's move on to the third, and perhaps most insidious type of dangerous person, the unsuspecting predator. These individuals don't look dangerous. They're not the kind of people who will come at you with guns blazing or fists swinging. No, these people are far more subtle. They'll smile at you, offer you help, and gain your trust. But underneath that facade, they're waiting for the right moment to take advantage of you. The most dangerous thing about these individuals is that they can blend in. They might be a friendly neighbor, a fellow survivor, or even someone within your group. They're skilled at manipulating people, and they thrive on deception. The problem is that by the time you realize you've been fooled, it's often too late. So how do you recognize an unsuspecting predator? Look for the subtle signs. These people are often overly charming, too eager to help or offer advice. They'll ask probing questions, trying to gather information about your resources, your plans, and your vulnerabilities. They'll seem like they're just being friendly, but in reality, they're assessing you as a target. Another thing to watch out for is inconsistency. Their stories might not add up, or they may have gaps in their background that don't make sense. If someone's story keeps changing, or if they're constantly deflecting when you ask them about their past, that's a red flag. These people are usually good at hiding their true intentions, but their lies will eventually catch up with them. And here's the key. Once you've identified someone as an unsuspecting predator, you need to act quickly and decisively. Don't confront them directly. Just distance yourself from them and protect your resources. Keep your group safe by ensuring that this person doesn't have access to sensitive information or supplies. And if they're embedded in your group, you may have to make the tough call to remove them entirely before they can cause harm. Now that we've covered the three most dangerous types of people, let's talk about something just as important: how to profile individuals based on their behavior. This isn't about labeling people as good or bad. It's about understanding human nature in a crisis and using that knowledge to stay one step ahead of potential threats. Behavioral profiling is something that law enforcement and military personnel use all the time, and it can be incredibly valuable in a survival situation. It's all about reading the signs, body language, speech patterns, emotional states, and using that information to assess whether someone is likely to become a danger to you or your group. One of the key factors to consider when profiling someone is their past behavior. People who have a history of violence, manipulation, or criminal activity are far more likely to resort to those behaviors when under stress. If you know someone's background, you can use that information to determine how much of a threat they pose. But even if you don't have access to their history, you can still pick up on important cues from their temperament and behavior. For example, someone who's quick to anger or easily frustrated might be more prone to violence when things don't go their way. On the other hand, someone who stays calm under pressure might be less likely to act impulsively, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're not dangerous. In fact, calmness in a high-stress situation could indicate that they've dealt with violence before and are confident in their ability to handle it. Another factor to consider is stress levels. In a crisis, everyone is under stress, but how they handle that stress can tell you a lot about their potential for violence. Someone who's barely holding it together might lash out if pushed too far, while someone who's compartmentalizing their stress might be biding their time, waiting for the right opportunity to strike. Behavioral profiling isn't just about identifying threats, though. It's also about using psychology to gain the upper hand. By understanding what motivates people, whether it's fear, control, or survival, you can manipulate the situation to your advantage without escalating things into violence. For instance, if you're dealing with someone who needs to feel in control, you might let them think they're calling the shots, even if you're quietly steering the situation in the direction you want it to go. It's about knowing when to push and when to pull back, and using psychological triggers to influence behavior without creating unnecessary conflict. In a high-tension environment, protecting your supplies is just as important as protecting yourself. After all, your food, water, weapons, and medical supplies are what will keep you alive, and that makes them a target for anyone who's desperate enough to try to take them from you. The first rule of resource management in a crisis is to avoid drawing attention to what you have. The more visible your supplies are, the more likely you are to become a target. So how do you avoid attention? One of the most effective strategies is to blend in with your surroundings. Don't make it obvious that you're better prepared than everyone else. Dress similarly to those around you, avoid showing off your gear, and don't talk about your stockpile unless absolutely necessary. Another important aspect of resource management is securing your high-value items. This means more than just hiding your food and weapons. It means being strategic about where and how you store them. For example, instead of keeping everything in one place, consider spreading your supplies across multiple secure locations. You might bury some of your stockpile in hidden caches or stash them in places that won't attract attention. And when it comes to transporting supplies, be discreet. Move items in small batches rather than large, noticeable quantities. Timing is also important. Transport your resources during periods of low activity when fewer people are likely to be watching. Camouflage is another tactic you can use to protect your resources. Disguise high-value items as something less desirable. For instance, store food in old, unmarked containers, or wrap medical supplies in nondescript packaging. The less attention you draw, the better your chances of keeping your supplies safe from prying eyes. Finally, always keep a detailed inventory of what you have. You need to know exactly how much of each resource you have, where it's stored, and how quickly it's being consumed. This will help you identify if anything goes missing and allow you to adjust your rationing as needed. Pause 2. S. Now let's talk about early detection. Being able to identify dangerous people before they act can be a lifesaver. There are several red flags you can watch for: psychological signs, physical cues, and patterns of speech that can help you spot potential threats before they escalate. Psychologically, you want to look out for sudden changes in behavior. If someone who was previously engaged with the group starts isolating themselves, that's a red flag. They may be retreating into their own mind, preparing for drastic action. Mood swings are another sign. Someone who goes from calm to aggressive or anxious in a short period of time could be on the verge of acting out. Paranoia is another big one. People who become excessively suspicious of others or fixated on controlling their environment may be more likely to become dangerous if they feel threatened. Pay close attention to individuals who exhibit signs of paranoia. They're often the ones who lash out when they feel cornered. Physical cues are just as important as psychological ones. Watch for changes in body language. Things like tense posture, clenched fists, or a forward-leaning stance can all indicate that someone is mentally preparing for a physical altercation. Nervous movements, such as fidgeting or pacing, can also be signs that someone is under stress and might act impulsively. Eye contact can be another clue. People who avoid eye contact might be hiding something, while those who stare too intensely could be trying to intimidate or challenge you. Either way, abnormal eye contact patterns should put you on alert. And don't forget about speech patterns. When someone starts rambling or over-explaining their actions, it could be a sign that they're trying to cover something up. Similarly, if someone is asking too many personal questions, especially about your supplies or plans, that's a red flag. They may be trying to gather information for a future attack or theft. So now you know the three most dangerous types of people you're likely to encounter when society breaks down, and more importantly, how to identify and manage those threats. It's crucial to remember that survival is about much more than just stockpiling supplies or having the right tools. In a crisis, your greatest challenge will often come from the people around you, whether it's someone who has nothing left to lose, a hardened, violent individual, or an unsuspecting predator using charm as a weapon. Understanding how to read their behaviors, respond appropriately, and protect your group is just as important as any other survival skill. And don't overlook the importance of being proactive in these situations. Recognizing danger before it escalates is the key to staying one step ahead. By employing behavioral profiling, securing your resources, and recognizing the early red flags, you can prevent minor threats from turning into full-blown disasters. Survival isn't just about reacting to danger. It's about anticipating it, managing it, and ensuring that you and your group come out on top. Remember, the strategies we've talked about today aren't just for the collapse of society. They're valuable in any situation where tension is high and danger is present. Whether it's a natural disaster, civil unrest, or even just navigating through uncertain times. The more you understand about human behavior in these scenarios, the better equipped you'll be to protect yourself and your loved ones. If you found this video valuable and you want to dive deeper into topics like these, make sure to follow Reliable Prepper on Facebook. We share even more strategies, insights, and tips to keep you prepared for whatever comes next. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe here on YouTube so you never miss an update. Thanks for sticking with me until the end. Stay vigilant, stay prepared, and as always, stay safe out there.